Oh, hello. Today we are doing a little fall unhaul, which is very exciting. Little rhyme there. I'm still getting ready for my day, but I was organizing the books that I am about to take to the used bookstore, and that means it's time for an unhaul. So we're gonna try to sneak that in before we get to getting on this here work day. So, where should we start? A lot of books to show you. Okay, I'm gonna start with a stack that I'm not gonna go through, but just FYI, so actually, context before I talk about this. I just did a big bookshelf reorganization. I did a whole video about that because I have a new bookshelf, and also I just realized organizationally needed to make some changes. So as a part of that, I actually identified a lot of books on the shelf that I was like, oh, I think rather than reorganize these, I think it's time to say goodbye. And that included a whole stack of religious books from back in the day. I've been holding on to some of these because I wanted to make the video that I made about how evangelicalism, fundamentalism impacted me in good and bad ways. And I wanted to refer to those books when I did that. So most of these, I'm not interested in them anymore, and they don't hold any particular significance sentimentally, so I'm just getting rid of them, and I found them during that reorganization process. And then the next category we can talk about are books that I enjoyed, but I just didn't enjoy them enough to hold on to them, which is the vast majority of them. I should say some of these I actually have been holding on to, but again, as a part of the bookshelf reorg, I was like, do I really need to keep this, or can I move it along? I am much more likely to move something along if it is either in paperback or if it is a YA book, because in my opinion, the McKays in Nashville not have as good of a YA section as the McKays in Knoxville does. So any chance I have to add books to it, I take it. So let's start with the paperbacks, and pretty much all of these I'm not holding on to because they're my preferred format is a hardback long term, so I'm just less likely to hold on to them if they are in paperback. But I did actually have a couple of these that have been on my shelf for a while. So the ones that I'm going to pass on, one is The Escape Room, which I think this is actually this is an advanced reader copy, but it's from 2019. So I feel like we can put this in circulation. I really like this book, but not enough for when I was doing my reorganization for me to decide to keep it. So that's why it is getting moved along. I enjoyed Hither Page by Cat Sebastian, but I didn't love it, and I don't think I'm going to keep going in the series. So it did not survive the purge. Nor did Broken Wish by Julie C. Dow. This was the beginning of a quartet, and I really liked this book, so I was holding on to it to see if I liked the next book as much, and we'll talk about it later. But, I guess clearly I didn't like it as much because now I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm not going to keep going in the series, but we'll talk more about that in a second. So, those were all identified during the reorg. And then two books that I've read recently that are in paperback, both of which I enjoyed. Were these in the same video? No, they were in the same time frame, but two different videos. I read Feel the Burn for my Opposites Attract vlog and enjoyed it, but not obsessed. So I decided, since it's in paperback, I'm gonna move it along, though I am sad because I am obsessed with this cover. Am I gonna keep this just for the cover? Look, there's a little hand in maple syrup off to the side. No, okay. Well, I do have room now. Okay, I'm holding on to this temporary. Okay, I'm unhauling this. I love this cover, okay? I have to say, I think that's one of the few, if not only times I have ever done that. But for now, I'm not even gonna put it back into the spreadsheet. It's just staying until I run out of room. But I do love that cover, so I'm gonna hold on to it for the moment. And then Gangland by Chuck Hogan. This one I read for the Edgar nominees list, and I thought that this was really good. If it wasn't in paperback, I probably would hold on to it, but since it is, I'm gonna move it along. It's like a gangster thriller kind of thing. Moving on, we've got a gigantic stack of hardbacks to get through. Oh man, let me see. Okay, just a second. Let me divide these into ones that didn't survive the reorg versus ones I've read more recently. So 1 minute, please. Okay, so I've got a few that did not survive the purge. Only 5. So first, Pride and Premeditation. I enjoyed this. It's a YA historical mystery that's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And it's good, but I liked the second book way better, which I read recently, and decided I could let it go. Like I said, I'm more predisposed to do that for YA. The other, actually all these are YA except for one. These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall is a horror novel, like a haunted house kind of story that is YA. This is really good and really well written, but I didn't find myself thinking about it much in the year since I've read it. So for that reason, I feel like it's time to pass it on. This is a middle grade fairy tale retelling book that is beautiful and beautifully illustrated. But again, I just haven't found myself referring to it in the last, I think, 2-ish years since I've read it. So while thumbs up, enjoyed this, I just decided I needed the space. And Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. This is probably my least favorite Uncle Rick book that I've read. Wasn't bad, it was fine. I just think it was too short for the story that I was telling. So for me, because it's not a favorite from him, I decided it could go. And then the only adult one that did not survive the purge that is in hardback is The Mad Woman's Ball by Victoria Moss. Again, I liked but didn't love this. This is a gorgeous cover, so I think that's part of why I've been holding on to it, but it just isn't a favorite, so I think it's just kind of time for it to move along. It survived a lot of unhauls, but it just didn't survive this one. Okay, and then the rest of these are just recent reads, and that's why they're going now. Killing November is the second in a duology. I really liked Killing November, and I'm holding on to that one, but since I didn't like this one quite as much, I decided for space reasons, I could go ahead and move it along. Similarly, for the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy, I really like the first one, and the next two I also enjoyed but didn't like as much. And again, I have a propensity to move along YA books in general because of the McKay's section, but also just for general organizational reasons. If I don't love the whole series and I'm not going to reread the whole series, I tend to only keep the ones or one of the series that I enjoy, and in this case it's the first one. So books 2 and 3 are gonna go. Let's see here, and then the last 2 YA middle grade ones. Shattered Midnight by Danielle Clayton. I liked okay, but didn't love, and I'm definitely not going to keep going in this quartet. So while I did enjoy Broken Wish, this one I liked less. So it is a cool concept because it's a quartet where each of the books is written by a different author, and it's following one family through time, and it's like magic-y. So it's a cool concept, but this one just didn't appeal as much to me, and I was not, like I liked the characters, but the trajectory of the plot wasn't so much for me, and where it left off, I just wasn't intrigued to keep going. So we're gonna move this one along. And then similar to what I was saying earlier, Venom Dark and Sweet by Julie Lynn. I really liked the first one in this duology a lot, and I thought this was good but not as good, and so I'm gonna hold on to, what is it? A Magic Steeped in Poison, and then I'm gonna let go of A Venom Dark and Sweet. So those were all the YA ones. Recent reads. All of these I at least gave a 3-star to. Yeah, I gave all of these at least a 3-star, so I didn't dislike any of these. Oh, I just realized, okay, so I have the cask. I gave this 3 stars. I do really like this edition. So for the second time today, I'm not gonna put it back in my spreadsheet because it could go at a future time, but I'm gonna hold on to this for now because it's cool looking and it will match some of the books on my shelves. So both of those are being held not really as books, but more decorative objects or knickknacks or bric-a-brac, if you will. I retract that one. The Night Eaters by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takata. I just was not into this. I love Monstrous. It's one of my all-time favorite fantasy series, but this was just more horror and just not for me. I just didn't connect with the story, but I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. Jackal I actually quite liked up until the very end, and I think if I hadn't just recently been doing reorganization and trying to clear out some space, I think I might have held on to this one for a little while, but because that's sort of in the forefront of my mind and because I did not enjoy the ending of it, I think I'm gonna go ahead and move it along. It's also quite popular, so I think other people would like to read it, so I'm happy to put a copy out in circulation at the used bookstore. The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias. I just felt like it was horror and a pretty good version probably of horror. It just wasn't what I was expecting and I didn't particularly connect with it. So 3 stars, it was fine. We're gonna put it back out into general population. And then finally, tomorrow, I thought this was okay. I gave this 3 stars. I was pretty underwhelmed by this. I definitely don't plan to reread it, and it is very popular, so I'm happy, again, to put another copy back out into the community. So, all of those were fine, liked but didn't love. I have 2 that I either DNF'd or did not like. I DNF'd the verifiers. It wasn't horrible, but it just I wasn't connecting with the voice. It was very slow moving and there just wasn't enough that was kind of holding my attention in it. So for that reason, I DNF'd it. And for that reason, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along. And then finally, the only book of this whole lot that I think I could meaningfully say I disliked was Devil House by John Darnielle. I just found this to be pretentious and not very entertaining. So it was aspiring to be literary and like very thought-provoking. And I'm sure some people felt that it was, clearly, because it was nominated for an Edgar. I think when I was reading this, I kept saying to myself, this feels like coffee house poetry. So I don't know. I would not say that John Darnielle is an author for me at all. And I don't want to read anything else from him and would only do so if I had to for some sort of project. So 2 stars, did not like this and wouldn't really recommend it. But that's, like I said, really the only one out of this whole batch that I would say I do not recommend. So there you go. Yeah, a pretty quick unhaul. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot that I had a little bag of mass markets. So let's see what's in here. Oh, there's only 3 of them. I think they're all the Nora Roberts ones I've read recently. Yeah. So I don't tend to hold on to Nora Roberts' little bind-ups that they've been having at Target. So when I get through them, I go ahead and pass them along. I don't like mass markets in general. I should say for like collection purposes, they are nice for just like casual reading. Be very fastidious about not breaking the spine because I know I'm going to get rid of them and that's just not very fun. Okay, so Little Lies has the second 2 O. Hurley books in it, which are Skin Deep and Without a Trace. And then, let's see here, Keeping Secrets has the first 2, which is The Last Honest Woman and Dance to the Piper. I have to say, while I like the family dynamics in the O. Hurley series, this is not my favorite Nora Roberts little quartet, so not a favorite. And then Meant to Be has 2 standalones. It has Dual Image and One Summer. And actually, both of these were pretty good, if I'm remembering rightly. These are old Nora Roberts categories that were pretty entertaining. So there you go. Oh, see, and look, you can tell I messed up the spine on this one. Well, you may not be able to tell, but I can tell, and that annoys me. So anyway, forgot that I had those, so I'll plop this in somewhere. Get going with my day here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little unhaulage. I always enjoy seeing what people are getting rid of, and hopefully you guys like it too. Let me know what you thought about any of the books that I mentioned. Let me know your favorite method of removing books from your collection. Do you take them to the library? Do you take them to shelters? Do you take them to a little free library, used bookstore? Like, what do you do with your books? And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!